Media.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. If you watched my video from earlier this morning, and if you haven't, you really should, I talked a lot about how chaos essentially could be headed towards Canada at any moment. Well, I spoke too soon because it's already here. A lot of people in the comments were talking about different events that were going on around the country and how they feel that this has already arrived in Canada, that it's too late, that we're in trouble. Now, again, just to give a little bit of a cliff notes as to what I was talking about, if you're living under a rock or you don't know what's going on in the United Kingdom, essentially some people were, or a boy was unalived by a Rwandan refugee seeking asylum, and Britons were fed up with the overcrowdedness of asylum seekers in the town, the crime that comes with it, the disheveledness that comes with it. Again, these were people that were essentially coming in to mooch off of a welfare system. They were not looking to better their lives. This is a matter of, I mean, people could say it's xenophobia by saying it's takeover. You can call it whatever you want to. I haven't seen statistics that support that the illegal migrants that come over any of the borders, whether it's into Canada, whether it's into the United States, whether it's into the United Kingdom, when they're coming from third world countries, there's no statistics to support that they're coming here essentially to better their lives. Now, again, Pierre Poilievre, I showed an interview recently where Pierre Poilievre had said, look, it's not the fault of some of these people. They're doing what they were told. They were told to get on buses. They were told to go to these countries that they would get a better life. For some of those people, fine. But for the majority of it, when we see the crime that happens, I'm going to get into that a little later in the video. But now the UK government has turned on their people, saying that if you are one of the people who were involved torching a hotel or saying that these illegals have to go, that suddenly you're going to be the one prosecuted. You're going to see the bad end of the law. Well, let's take a look at that. I mean, there's a meme here showing current state of the United Kingdom. Guys yelling, Admiral Akbar, get rid of the infidels, with the police saying, we're here to protect you. And of course, I said I don't want my children getting unalived. You're going to jail. You bad guy from WW2. Sorry, guys, I have to filter. YouTube really comes down hard on these words these days. But, I mean, look at this one. Posted a racist comment on Facebook, 15 weeks in jail. Sold anti-immigration stickers, he got 2 years in prison. Repeatedly assaulted 12-year-old girl, 180 hours community service, no prison time. This is a lot of what we see already in Canada. Kevin Sorbo tweeting out, this is what's happening in the UK right now. This is the problem. This is why people are fed up. This is why people in the UK have said enough, and they've taken to the streets to say, get everybody out of here. Now, ultimately, the problem in the UK is that the numbers have ramped up so much that I'll say Palestinian refugees are flooding the streets. They're outnumbering people. They're saying they're just there for the communities. I mean, what they have to understand is that people aren't upset about a specific race of people or a specific country. They're fed up with the crime, the negative approach that comes from mass illegal immigration. Agony of mother of teen unalived in attack after learning one of the people responsible will be released just after 6 months due to prison overcrowding under new labor scheme. Again, virtue signaling. Well, it's too crowded, so you commit crimes, you're going to be, this used to be a life sentence, 6 months in jail because you came from another country. When I say this was coming to Canada, I sent out a warning this morning that, hey, we've already opened our doors in Canada. This was Justin Trudeau's virtue signaling policies. This is what was on our way for us to be expecting. Well, it's already here. Eva Chipiuk tweeting out, welcome to Canada. Hamas supporters in downtown Toronto blocking traffic on the Gardiner Expressway. Now, if you remember the Freedom Convoy, and who can't remember the Freedom Convoy, they didn't block traffic. In fact, there were lanes left open all the way through Ottawa, while it was still difficult because of the barricades that the police put up, vehicles, emergency vehicles, services could still get through on those roads. It was a peaceful protest. One of the things I'll note here, when you look at what's going on, Freedom Convoy protesters weren't covering their faces. Do you ever notice that about these groups, that their protests are so legitimate, that they're so holy and divine that they have to cover their faces, that their points are so broadly accepted they have to cover their faces? Cat Canada tweeting out, this is downtown Toronto right now. Look what's going on here. This is a result of what's happening in the UK. People are standing up now. People are getting into mass numbers. And you've got tons of Canadians virtue signaling with them, saying, oh, guys, they just want to be heard. They just want what's right for them. Look at this. Here's the thing. Whatever is happening in other wars is not happening on Canadian soil. As a child that grew up in the 80s and 90s, I can tell you right now that when I grew up as a kid, you'd hear about protests. I'm sure people were protesting. I don't want to say it didn't happen. But you would hear that the word protest, and ultimately in those decades, you would associate protesting with like the children of the 60s and 70s that were burning bras and chanting for free love and things like that, and to bring countries together. It seems now that if somebody farts in someone's general direction and offends them, everybody gets signs now and heads to the streets. Everybody protests. Everybody blocks traffic. Everybody says that you have to be heard, that, you know, we won't leave until people listen to our cause. Well, this is the end result. We're now seeing the streets getting flooded with people that are outnumbering Canadians, and the law doesn't want to do anything about it. The law refuses to step in. The law just, like, here they are just standing in line. Did they do this during the Freedom Convoy? Of course, again, these protesters, oh, we're filming you. We're making our point proven. We're going to walk by. We're going to call you all kinds of names. We're going to intimidate. We're going to film, and you're going to do nothing. Did anybody see this kind of treatment during the Freedom Convoy? Did the Freedom Convoy protesters cover their faces while they all stood in front of the police? If you remember, outside of the Chateau Hotel on Wellington Street, the infamous scene where people were stomped by the RCMP's horses, protesters stood in front of police for quite some time. There was one man who's infamous for standing there in nothing but his pants. I mean, they didn't cover their faces. They wanted everyone to know that, you know, we were Canadians, that we were fighting for our Charter of Rights. These are people protesting wars and situations that aren't Canada's problem. We're not involved in their wars. We're not involved in what's happening on their home turf. So why has it become such an issue? Why is the Canadian government allowing this to continue? Well, they're virtue signaling. Now, I don't want to sound like I am xenophobic or that I don't agree that people should have the right to come to a different country or relocate to a different country. I've said multiple times, and I'll say it again. If you're coming to a country to assimilate, to get a job, to better your life, if you're going to do it legally, if you're going to follow paperwork procedure, get a job, pay into the tax system, have a family, be a part of Canadian society, I have no problem with you coming to my country. One of the biggest things that comes with this, and it's part of what I wanted to get into with these charges. We've seen this in Alberta back in years as early as 2018. And of course, it was scary then. The numbers have only grown. Anybody who was in Alberta or maybe saw it on national news at the time in 2018, there was a migrant who assaulted multiple young girls at the West Edmonton Mall World Water Park. Charges were dismissed. All charges against a man accused of assaulting 6 teenage girls last year in West Edmonton Mall Water Park have been dismissed. Solomon Hajij Solomon, 40 years old, was acquitted on 6 counts of assault and 6 counts of contact with a child. He was alleged to have inappropriately touched girls between the ages of 13 and 15 in the water park's wave pool on February 4th. Alberta's Provincial Court Friday, he was found not guilty. Justice dyslexia is kicking in today. Judge Joyce Lester said it's not that she didn't believe the complainants or whether something untoward had occurred on that evening, but I have not received sufficient evidence that the offender is the person before me. I must be satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt, and I am not, she said. It would be an injustice to convict this person, given all the inconsistencies of the testimony. As Lester delivered the last few minutes of her decision, at least 2 of the teen girls and their mothers tearfully left the courtroom. Of course they did. They were denied justice. I can tell you right now, as a father of 3, one of those children a daughter, if this happened to my daughter, there'd be a different trial going on because I'd be going to jail. Throughout her decision, Lester pointed to inconsistencies in descriptions of the offender, including whether he was bald, the color of his swim trunks, and whether he was wearing clear or rainbow-colored zebra pattern swim goggles. Who cares? Look, if you've ever been to the World Water Park, it's a very busy place. But multiple people accusing the same person. Don't they have cameras in there? Don't they have security? The teens spoke together before reporting the incident, and some of them had the opportunity to discuss the case at a sleepover later that night. Well, of course they were traumatized. Again, this is the fault of the police. They should have taken a statement immediately. They should have separated the parties. Again, this comes down to protocol. But of course, virtue signaling, well, we can't charge a man because all these circumstances, things weren't done properly. I beg to ask the question, and this is the question I'll ask you. Leave me a comment down below. Had this have been a registered offender, Canadian citizen, I don't care what color their skin was, would they have been charged? Would they have been convicted? Do you think the judge's testimony or the judge's deliberation and decisions would have gone a different way? Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what you think in terms of Canada. Do you think that we're already in trouble? Do you think that these protests are only going to rise up, as I said on this morning's video? Again, if you haven't seen what's going on in the UK, head over, watch that video, give it a comment or a thumbs up. I know YouTube has been actively pushing that video down this morning. So again, if you enjoyed this one, make sure to leave a comment and a thumbs up in the comment section down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button, you turn on your bell for notifications. Join me live each and every Friday here on the channel for Friday Night Fringe, my weekly live streaming show where we go over everything that's happened in the past week, everything coming up in the week ahead, as well as some back and forth within our community. I will note that this Friday I am out of town, so I will be doing this week's stream Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you there for that live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.